Right, morning folks. Josh S here. Just thought I'd do a quick run through of JMRI. It's been discussed a bit recently in the club with various people, so I'll just give a brief video run through, as it were, to show people what it does. So to start off with, JMRI is some free computer software that enables DCC programming and DCC running via various devices. I'm not going to go too much into the running side of things. Just going to do the programming bit of it. So you've opened up your software. Mine's running on the Raspberry Pi that Sultan Lane runs on. So I've opened up the software, and to add a new loco. So in the for this example, I'm just going to do a basic programming, set everything up. I've got a small shunter that's sat on the layout. And so I'm just going to run through it. So first of all, you open up the software. So here I've gone Decoder Pro, which is down here. Then you go to this top tab here. You go to roster, and then roster again. And your roster is basically a list of pretty much any loco that you have programmed through JMRI. So you can see the ones that I've done here. We've got the one specifically for Sultan here, and then I've got basically anything else that I've had running on the layout. So to add a new loco, this is how you do it. So first off, you go to New Loco. It may take a while because I'm viewing this remotely on my laptop rather than the Raspberry Pi. And then if you know the type of decoder that is in your loco, you can go from the list down here. Alternatively, you can click this button here and it reads the type from the decoder. And basically what that does, the software reads the decoder as you would on a programming track, and it just reads the CVs and it tells you automatically what, at least certainly what make of decoder is in your loco. So if I go to click on read type from decoder, and you can see that the software is reading the decoder down here, so it's reading the CVs as it would on a programming track. And so it's got Zemo, which is in there, and it's a MX600, I think, which is one of the wired versions. So I'm just going to click on this one, and it does take a while because it's a huge amount of software. So then what comes up is this text box here. And there's a couple of options you can do this. You can just sort of type in the address if you just wanted to go for basic address setting, as it were. You can add in the ID of it, or you can go open this comprehensive programmer, which is what I'm going to do now. And what this does is essentially it enables you to get a far more in-depth programming of your decoders. So I'm going to do it this way, and this is just because it shows off a lot better one of the main benefits of using JMRI, in that you can do programming of various functions on a decoder so much more easily than you can using a handset. So if we open Comprehensive Programmer, and what this does is that when you program it, I'm just going to click back to the other window. Not that one. Come here, silly thing. So each of these locos here has its own file, like essentially you would save a file on your computer. It's the same thing. And basically all the settings in there are saved to that locos file, and that has the benefit of that if you lose, or if you want to copy across or anything, or you want to share someone or share a program with someone else, you can just send them the file via email or whatever, and then they can open it up in their JMRI. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So we have the comprehensive program. So we've got various bits of it here. I'm just going to take you through sort of the basics, motor, speed control, and I might have a play around with putting a brake function on there as well. So the local ID is what comes up in JMRI. So this is essentially the file name of the loco that you're choosing. So I'm doing this as a class 08, which is what's on there. So I'm just going to do that. Road name is essentially the name of the loco, road number. I'm just going to put in 2, 3, 4 as an example. Manufacturer, Batman, model, class 08. And basically what this does, it's just essentially adds to the file info that is on your, that's in the JMRI file. So we save that to roster, and that is that file created. So then we go to the basics, and the basic tab is essentially just, well, it is what it says on the sheet. It's the basic DCC address. Do you need to swap the direction around if you've wired it in correctly? It might run backwards when it goes forward, etc. So I'm going to set this loco address as 881 for argument's sake. Okay, so it's a short address, etc. The locomotive direction is normal. You can set it to 14 speed set format or your 128 speed set format. I just always leave that as 28/128. Now this thing here, power source conversion. So modern DCC decoders can run on DC. Some people say it's fine. I personally not, but don't take my word as it. Make your own decisions. So you can change this to DCC running labeled, or just runs on digital only. And then when you see this change of colour here, that means changes are ready to write to the decoder. So we click Write Changes on Sheet, and that is now done. So we've set the address, etc. And now we can go to motor. So I'm going to set the acceleration rate to, so let's go 30 for argument's sake. Deceleration 30 again. And basically what this is just your programming of CVs 3 and 4, I think, is the regular deceleration acceleration rates. Now, if I click Write Changes on sheet here, you are going to see somewhere down here that says something about writing CVs, and that is essentially just telling you what CVs it has written. So if I do that, and it didn't show you in typical fashion, that has just written it to the decoder. So if I hold it over here, well, I did do it before, and then, yeah, anyway, so that's written CVs 3 and 4. Yeah, there we go. CV4 sets deceleration rate. And then you've got all sort of your, what do we call it? Like your back EMF and your motor control, etc. So I'm not going to go too much into that. So you've got your speed control. So you've got your V star, like your mid-ranging. One of the main perks of JMRI that I find is the use of speed tables. And speed tables enable you to set a speed or a certain speed at each speed set. There's 28 on here. And if you hold over it, you can see the CVs. And if you were doing this by a handset, you'd have to get bits of paper out and it'd all get terribly complicated. And for me, this is one of the main benefits of using JMRI, is that you can set each speed point. So I'm just going to set this, because it's shunt, it's fairly slow speed, so I'm just going to drag this end one down to about halfway. And then if I do match ends, and what that does is make this a straight line. So if I do that, match ends, and then you've got that sort of a near constant acceleration or speed gradient, as it were. So again, Write Changes on sheet, and you can see as each bit turns red, that is that particular CV being written to the decoder. So I'm just going to let it do its thing. See how we get on. Okay, so that's that. Now, one of the other benefits of this is that you can start to do all your function mapping a lot easier. So this particular loco doesn't have any lights on it. But what you can do is you can change which sort of function wire, so whichever colours they are, so like your blues, your greens, your browns, etc. Basically, you can change what each function does. Now, obviously, different decoders have different controls or different abilities, which is one of the reasons I particularly love Zimo decoders, that you do have a lot of functionality. So, for example, if I wanted to you can change the lights. So, if you have your front lights, okay, you can change them by different function keys. And then one of the other things you can do is have different lighting effects. So you've got like a Mars light, random flicker. Bear in mind this is predominantly American software, so hence the Mars light, lots of different flashy things. One of the things I quite like is this random flicker, which is particularly good for firebox. If you've got a firebox glow in there, you can do lots of things like that. And basically, you've got all these different functions, some of which I didn't know were in here, which look quite fun. So we're just going to ignore that, but that's one of the main things you can do with it. again, going back up to the acceleration and deceleration tab, this is basically a whole tab dedicated to fine tuning the motor control. In particular, one of my favourites is brake key. So the brake key is what it says on the tin. Zemo, if anybody has Zemo sound decoders, the brake key usually is on F2 because that's sort of a non-latching. So basically, when you push it on, it's on. When you're not pressing the function, it's off. So if I wanted to do that, I just select F2, and the brake key deceleration rate, you want it to be considerably less than whatever you put in CV4. So I've got deceleration as 30 here. And I'm going to put that in as 5. And what that means, the loco slows down a lot quicker. And so you can hold on function 2 for sort of someone really slamming the ankles on, or you can sort of dab it in and out to sort of gradual brake application. So I'm going to right change on sheet, and that's done. So for this one, the brake key is, I can't remember what the brake key is. I think it's normally CV309 or something, 349. And then you've got different things up here. So you've got options for like a shunting key. So you've got, this is essentially for programming sort of a light running loco in. So you've got quarter acceleration, no acceleration. And basically what that, basically can change how the loco behaves. So when this function is off, it can be, you've got a heavy train on the hook. And when it's on, if you program sort of in a quarter acceleration, I normally stick this on F3 because they're the options it gives you. When that function is on, the deceleration and acceleration of that loco is a lot quicker, i.e. it's unloaded. And that is pretty much it for JMRI. There's lots of different things you can do. You've got all these functions outputs. Again, some of these are specific to Zemo decoders. I don't have any non-ESU ones, sort of non-Zemo ones ready to go. Actually, no, I'll tell a lie. I do. I've got, because one of the benefits is that you can see which decoder's in which loco. So if, for argument's sake, I had this class 25 on, which has got a ESU sound decoder in, I'm going to change that because I'm not actually programming anything. When it runs. As it does take a while, especially with sound locos because the files are so massive. One thing you can't do with JMRI is load up new sound projects onto decoders, which is one thing. You need specific software to deal with that. But JMRI is fantastic for like just programming your CVs. So I'll hopefully this will load up shortly. If not, we shall see. But that is basically it. So JMRI, it's free. It can run on pretty much any device. So mine's running on Raspberry Pi, which is Linux. It can run on Windows. It can run on Mac OS. You do need an interface between it. So I use one from Sprog DCC, which are based in the UK. And it's for your laptop or whatever, it's a USB device. It's a USB plug-in, and you plug it in. There's all instructions on the website. I think they're about £80, I think. So for free software and a programmer, you're paying, you're getting essentially a full suite. Excuse me, for considerably less than something like an NCE, PowerCab, ProCab, whatever it is. Anyway, so this is the one for an ESU decoder. So very similar things. So you've got your speed tables, speed control. It will look different, and that again just depends on the functionality of the decoder. But you get the same thing again because this is a sound decoder. You have different things. So you've got the sound levels. You can change the sound functions on different slots. So yeah, that's it. So I hope this was useful. Oh yes, one other thing. You do need to write. I'm just going to cancel this. You do need to make sure that you write changes to the decoder. So I'm just double checking I'm on the class 08. I am. So again, write all change on sheet. Basically, so instead of doing one sheet at a time, each of these tabs is your sheet, by the way. And write change on all sheets. That's pretty much everything you've done. And then you go to close it. You want to save and close the configuration file. Again, that's what I was talking about when I talked about the like the locos file within JMRI within the system. Save and close. And there we are. One last thing before I finish off. So you can label each function on in JMRI. So if I go to this button, so you select the loco and you go to labels and media down here, you can, so these are your functions down here, and in here you can put a label in. So function 2 is brake, as I put it in here. Function 3 is light engine. So light, and I just call it light engine if it's to simulate it not having a load on, and that relates to sort of that quarter acceleration bit I showed you earlier. Save to roster, and then if I went to this button down here, because this is another perk of JMRI, you can control the trains from it, which is quite nice. Again, you need to select a loco. You've got brake and light engine here. This is particularly handy for sound fitted locos. So if I select my black 5 down here, you can see all the sound functions that have come up that I've labelled in JMRI. And that just saves you having F1, F2, F3, etc. You actually remember what that is. So there we are. That is JMRI. I would encourage anybody who's interested in this to have a look at it. It is free software and it does have a lot of room for expansion in terms of automation of layouts. It is quite in-depth, that sort of thing. But as a programming thing, as a programming sort of tool for running your locos, etc., getting them set up how you want, it is pretty much second. So I'm going to leave that with you. If anybody does have any questions about this, please drop me or drop it something in the comments. I've done this all in one go, so you probably heard my phone buzzing in the background. My apologies. But yeah, have a look at JMRI, have a play around, sort of read into it, have a look at stuff on YouTube, and sort of have a look at what it can do for you, because it is so much easier programming than on a handset. So there we are, folks. I shall stop whistling on now, because that has been nearly 20 minutes non-stop, which even by my record is quite impressive. And like I say, anybody got any questions, leave them in the comments, and I shall get back to you the best if I can. Take care of yourselves all, and we'll see you soon.